Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Midday Live from the News Hub. My name is Portia Gabo. Coming up this afternoon. Government denies report power rationing that Dumso is back. In business news, Bank of Ghana figures show that between July and August 2018, the country added 11.4 billion cedis to its debt stock. And coming up in international news, court in Milan considering charges of corruption against ENI and Shell. We first begin with the energy sector, where many parts of the capital since last week have been experiencing erratic power supply. Other parts of the country have also reported same. The situation has persisted over a week, and the opposition NDC says Ghanaians should consider the recent power outages they are experiencing as a return of the most dreaded Dumso. Others have said government lacks funds to purchase fuel for thermal plants. And to clarify the issues for us, we will be speaking with the Deputy Minister in charge of Power, William Orieku Edu. Well, good afternoon, sir, and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon to you, madam.
Now, with the frequent power outages that most Ghanaians are experiencing, can we say that Dumso is back?
Oh, thank you very much, and good afternoon to yourself and to your cherished viewers and listeners. The answer to that question is categorically no. Dumso, as we know it, is not back. What it is we've been experiencing some challenges in supply from the west, and also from the supply of gas from the west and from the east, that is Nigeria gas. And also initially we had some challenges with the supply from the OTCP well. That is the Sankofa gas. We had some problems there. But initially, that was what happened. And whilst we were solving that problem, we were hit by the major one from Nigeria. So we ended up having two major challenges, both from the east and the west.
What exactly are these challenges?
I beg your pardon?
I was asking, what exactly are these challenges that you're talking about?
Yes, it's supplies. You know, we're working with machines. And machines can be very temperamental sometimes, as we know. The Sankofa gas failed, tripped. I don't want to go too technical because I'm not an engineer. It tripped, and we had problems with the supply of gas from that field. Like I said, whilst we were working on that, the Nigerians decided to do a cleaning, what they call pigging, of their pipeline, gas pipeline, which is a routine maintenance, and normally the pigging is to clean out the pipeline. And normally, when they do that, they just switch back on, and the gas continues to flow. Unfortunately, this time they had problem reconnecting the supply, so that became also a challenge. The supply of gas from Nigeria to Tema generators, and then the Sankofa to the Western generators. Thankfully, I'm happy to tell Ghanaians that these problems have been solved, and going forward, we're not going to experience this erratic supply of power to Ghanaians anymore.
So if there's going to be an erratic power supply, will government officially communicate that to Ghanaians?
As a matter of fact, at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a press conference. I and my colleagues have variously gone around telling Ghanaians that, announcing the good news to Ghanaians that, yes, we had challenges which were unforeseen. We solved them, and that going forward, we are not going to get any more problems. It is not so. These are unforeseen challenges that came in purely technical problems that we encountered. And I'm happy to say, by the good works of the VRA, Gridco, GMPC, Ghana Gas, ECG, we've managed to bring the supply back on an even keel. And I must commend the workers of these utility companies that I mentioned.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I've been speaking with the Deputy Minister in charge of Power, William Orieku Edu, on the frequent power outages that most Ghanaians have been experiencing in many parts of the capital. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. Let's continue with the rest of our stories. And the President of the Republic of Togo, Faure Gnassingbé, on Sunday made a stopover in Ghana for talks with President Akufo-Addo. This was on development in Togo since the last peace mediation meeting between the ECOWAS mediation team, the government and opposition parties in Togo.
President Akufo-Addo Sunday evening received the Togolese leader at the Jubilee Lounge of the Kotoka International Airport. The two leaders subsequently moved camp to the Australia House, where they addressed the media briefly.
Togolese president came over this evening to have an informal chat about our mutual matters. You know, we are the closest of neighbors, enjoy very good relations. And we think it's a good idea every now and then for us to meet, to bring each other up to date. So that's why he's here for the evening.
We should have this habit to just meet informally to discuss of our mutual matters, as we said. And I think those matters are numerous, be it in economic, social, or political, since you have the difficult task to mediate between Togolese parties. So I just came here just for an update and also to follow up on other things that we discussed earlier.
On the 27th of June this year, President Akufo-Addo and his colleague Guinean President Alpha Condé, who have both been appointed by ECOWAS to facilitate peace talks in Togo, threw a challenge to the government and the coalition of opposition parties in Togo to table their major preoccupations about the political crisis in their country by specifying their main concerns in order to guide their mediation efforts going forward.
In other news, the Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, has described as untrue claims by the opposition NDC that government plans to increase presidential staffers from 998 to 1,614. At a media briefing, he noted the ESEP program in place to rather reduce the staff numbers at both the Office of the President and government machinery.
You'll find that in 2018, the numbers I gave you, the establishment ceiling was 1,697. In the 2019 budget, it's 1,614. So what is actually happening is that the program is reducing from 1,697 to 1,614. And this is mostly as a result of retirements that are not being replaced and some of the offices that have been closed down. For example, SADA, you would notice that it's no longer existing.
Kojo Nkrumah observed there are 19 entities under government machinery.
There's a clear difference between the Office of Government Machinery and the Office of the President. The executive arm of government is organized into ministries, departments, and agencies. The supervising outfit of the executive arm is referred to as the Office of Government Machinery. And it comprises about 19 different units, one of which is the Office of the President. The reason for which we argue that those who make this claim are either confusing Office of the President with Office of Government Machinery or are up to political mischief is that it is only when you compare the 998 from the Office of the President only to the bigger Office of Government Machinery, 1614, that you can arrive at that claim that there is going to be an increase in numbers, and that increase in numbers is even about 616. But that is totally false. That's totally untrue.
He indicated the NDC has refused to back its claims as requested by government.
They refer to the 2019 budget as the source of their claim and proceeded further to claim that any such action will amount to a burden on the public purse. This afternoon, there are three things that government wishes to share with you on this matter. One, that claim is false. Two, the makers of the claim have either confused Office of Government Machinery with Office of the President, or are only up to political mischief. And three, contrary to the claim, staff numbers at the Office of the President and even the Office of Government Machinery itself are rather going through a programmed reduction.
And in a sharp rebuttal, the MP for North Dong and ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, insists there's no reduction as claimed by government. He spoke on Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM earlier.
The President is expected to report to Parliament 3 months after the end of any financial year.
92.7.
So that is why the 2017 figure was presented to Parliament in April this year, and that is 998, which we all know there was a lot of uproar and outrage in this country, as you recall. So we only have the 2017 actual as we speak. We don't have the 2018 actual. So when Kojo Oponkrumah tells you that they are rather, please take it with a pinch of salt, we cannot be sure for now, especially when 998 to the 2019 allocation of 1,614 cannot be a reduction.
Watching Midday live from the News Hub. Let's now go to Parliament, where we understand the LI on the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been laid in the House. Let's now cross over to our parliamentary correspondent, Evelyn Tinma, for more. Good afternoon, Evelyn, and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Portia.
Now, Evelyn, can you update us on this development?
Yes, Portia, this morning, the Office of the Special Prosecutor Regulations 2018 has been laid in Parliament, and it was actually supposed to have been laid by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, but she wasn't in the House, so the Minister for Defense, Honorable Dominic Nisiwo, laid the paper on her behalf. And so what it then means is that this will have to take 21 continuous parliamentary sitting days for it to mature, so that it could become effective. And Portia, what this document means is that it means that after laying this paper, it will tell out the Office of the Special Prosecutor how they can go about their work. It is also to help the office to appoint prosecutors. This particular document is also to ensure that people are able to file complaints to be investigated. And so if this LI is not in place, one cannot file a complaint to the Office of the Special Prosecutor for any prosecution. And the document is also to ensure that processes that the prosecutor office will have to undertake are done in the right way. And before the office is able to seize any assets of persons suspected to have been involved in any corrupt deals, this document will have to be effective for that to be done. And also how they will be able to, the Office of the Special Prosecutor will be able to investigate people alleged to have been in any corrupt deals. And so, Portia, this is what this particular document seeks to do. And so after the 21 15 days, it will mature for it to be effective. And so the Speaker referred the document to the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation, and they will subsequently report to the House after that, Portia.
Thank you very much, Evelyn Tinma, for that update, where the LI on the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been laid in Parliament. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. Let's now go to the Central Region, where the traffic lights located on the major intersection on the Cape Coast Takoradi stretch has been repaired following a news item by TV3 highlighting the danger to motorists. The traffic lights had broken for more than 4 months, a report by Ajwa Adobiusu.
Cape Coast Metropolis. The Pedi Junction, the biggest intersection in the metropolis, connects road users from Accra to Takoradi and links those from Chifu, Denchua and nearby districts to the center of the Cape Coast Metropolis. National Service personnel served as traffic wardens, supporting the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Police Service to control traffic when the lights were out. In the night, however, road users were left to their fates.
When it is night,
When a car is from a distance, you may not know. When it's closer to you, may not know. And it can move, and because you've been thinking that the distance is very long, maybe get closer to that before you move. You have the problem.
It affected us in a way that at times if you don't take care, it can cause accident. Maybe one driver will come from the other end, not noticing that you are also coming. If you see that there's no car on your front now, at times you speed up a little bit.
This was the explanation given by the Central Regional Director of the Department of Urban Roads, Samuel Mensah.
You know, we have a lot of problems in that area. We have people burning rubbish around that place. And we also had people who were pruning the trees. Instead of pruning the trees, they went ahead to cut the tree, and it fell on the whole controller and it damaged the cabinet and all that. So all those things completely destroyed the controller. So right now where we are is the controller is completely destroyed, and that's the heart of the whole system. So we've instructed the contractor to fix it.
But following the story on TV3 News, the lights were seen working on Monday morning.
We started a test run. We had a contractor coming with the controller. So we had to, fix the controller. We did a test run throughout the weekend and finally on the Sunday. So it's working.
Well, TV3 indeed gets results. Away from the Central Region, panelists on 3FM's Sunrise Morning Show believe Ghana will have to deal with traditions and cultures in society which bars people from reporting abuses in their homes to law enforcement agencies. The panelists who made these observations to mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women further called on men to be bold to report abusive wives to the police.
The commemoration of the day, which fell on Sunday, November 25, is to draw attention to physical or sexual violence inflicted on women. Representatives from the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service and the Women in Law and Development in Africa say tradition and cultural barriers must be dealt with.
They want to be heard. They should come. Our doors are always open. We will listen to them. We wouldn't discriminate against them because we are talking about gender-based violence.
While you wouldn't discriminate against them?
Yeah, maybe they will see them as weaklings. But to me, they are not.
Ghana has signed on to Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women, CEDAW. How many years now? Since 1986. Who cares? And if, for instance, Article 6 of that document, which deals with issues of marriage, family relations, and all that. If we have the spousal property bill passed in this country, we could deal with some of these issues. And the
ignorance of the law, at times when they are being violated, the woman wouldn't even know that have been assaulted or not. There are times most of the women may say, "Oh, me, when my husband beats me, then I feel," but it's wrong.
According to Superintendent Adolphine Jansi, it is the duty of victims of violence to report cases to the police.
The man also has the right to report.
Report that what?
At the police station that he's being harassed unnecessarily, but by a female. And we will take that complaint and work on it.
According to her, in 2017, 221 male victims reported threats of harm to DOFSU, whilst another 600 female victims reported same to the unit.
Let's now focus on health, and the National Health Insurance Scheme pays less than 5% of the treatment costs for acute burns, but this lends to a huge loss for the reconstructive plastic surgery and burn center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Ifwateku has more.
If you have 80% burn, okay, 80% of your body is burnt, okay, in the UK, US, you still have between 70 to 80% chance of recovering. If you have a 30% burn, if you have a 30, let's say 40% of your body is burnt, for instance, okay, you have a 90 to 100% chance of recovering. Okay. Now, when you come to our side of the world, if somebody came in with a 40 to 50% burn, he has a 70% chance of dying.
That is the stark truth of burns care in the country. Simply scary. The elephant in the room, cost of treatment, which is extremely high. The cost for treating acute burns ranges from 25,000 to 50,000 cedis, and National Health Insurance pays 1,000 cedis, less than 5% of the cost. 95% of the cost is on patients who often cannot foot the bill.
When somebody gets burns, certain basic things, basic things like dressing, physiotherapy, nursing, basic surgery, those are things that we have the resources to be able to do. Okay. Now there are more advanced things, like more advanced wound care techniques, the intensive care resources and other things. So those are a higher level of things. But then the thing is that even the basics, we are struggling to do the basics. This is where insurance becomes important. So insurance should be meaningful insurance.
The center attends to between 400 and 600 burns cases annually, often the severe ones from across the country, as it's one of only 2 burns units in the country. The other is in Kumasi. The challenges are rife. The reason practitioners emphasize prevention to reduce the burden of cost. They say more than 80% of burn cases are preventable.
The acting National Malaria Control Program Manager, Dr. Kezia Malm, has expressed worry about increasing cases of malaria. Cases are now being recorded in millions, a situation demanding an urgent response.
Ghana is among high-burden malaria countries globally. Reacting to the 2018 malaria report by the WHO, acting National Malaria Control Program Manager Dr. Kezia Malm said Ghana's geographical location puts the country at risk.
Generally, we are located at a place where there's high burden of malaria. We have made progress to some extent, but there's still a lot of work for us to do. And we're putting that category because even if you look at other regions, they are reporting malaria in the hundreds of thousands or sometimes even in thousands. We are reporting malaria in millions. So that means there's still a lot of work for us to do before we'll be able to reduce the burden of malaria.
Malaria, she said, is still accounting for a huge proportion of OPD attendance. Even though the control program was working to reduce the numbers, much needs to be done.
If you look at our health facility reporting, even those being admitted for severe forms of malaria have reduced. But the numbers are still quite high. Malaria is still accounting for a huge proportion of our outpatient attendance. So we still are not there yet.
She blamed the situation on lack of finances and human behavior.
I'm sure if we have all the money, all the drains would have been covered. One thing about malaria is a lot of the interventions depends on people's behavior. So you can even have the finance to buy a net, but you have to sleep in the net. For example, ACT treatment, people start day one, they feel better and they stop. So they still have a parasite and they become reservoirs for transmission.
You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub, and still on health, the principal of the Tertiary Nursing and Midwifery Training College, Theresa Entry, has taken a swipe at some nurses and midwives who show negative attitude towards patients. She stressed people are losing confidence in the profession because of negative posture towards patients. A report by Frederick Clarence Williams.
Currently, a single nurse caters for over 8,000 patients, while a midwife has the responsibility to attend to over 9,000 pregnant women in the country. Though the Constitution of Ghana clearly defines that all manner of people, irrespective of social status, must have equal access to health services in the country. Speaking at the 12th matriculation of the 10th anniversary of Tertiary Nursing and Midwifery Training College, the principal of the college, Theresa Entry, noted, irrespective of the limited population of nurses to patient ratio in the country, it is unacceptable for any nurse or midwife to show negative attitude towards patients who visit their health facility.
The values are necessary for nurses and midwives to integrate caring behaviors towards their patients and to all members of the healthcare team. Nurses, midwives, student nurses and midwives with bad attitude need to be held accountable.
She stressed most people have lost confidence in the profession. Theresa Entry is therefore calling for a concerted effort to deal drastically with nurses and midwives who fail to adhere to the code of ethics.
Working in today's hectic and often stressful healthcare environment can create a challenge to this very code of ethics. This bad attitude creates an even greater stress to the work environment and to all those working in it.
The college this year admitted a total of 336 students to pursue various nursing and midwifery programs.
In other news, traditional authorities in the Seshri Bekwai area says the creation of the Western North region will help propel development in the area. Benjamin Edu has filed this report.
The paramount chief of Seshri Bekwai traditional area, Nana Kwesi Dansoose, said the clamor for the creation of the Western North region is purely to drive developments to the area. He observed this section of the Western region lags behind in development. The chief is confident of attracting investors to invest in the area's natural resources for the benefit of inhabitants. He has therefore called for the support of the chiefs and people in the creation of the region.
We all have to partake in making sure that the Western North region is created, and all the ideas that would have to also be brought on board also have to be brought, so that the Western North is sustained, and then we can also benefit fully from the creation of the Western North region.
The Western North area has had challenges with chieftaincy disputes. Seshri Bekwai, for example, was without a chief for 5 years after the demise of the paramount chief, Odinohu Japon Abebiu, a former president of the National House of Chiefs. But the new paramount chief, Nana Kwesi Dansoose, says the time has come for the people to focus on socio-economic growth. He has prioritized education for sustainable development of the area.
Away from the Western region, 12 classrooms at Bueman Senior High School have been converted into dormitories following the free SHS policy introduced by government. Academic activities are now being held under trees at the mercy of the weather.
The Bueman Senior High School was started in 1960 by an educationist, Christopher Kweku Nayo of Old Baika, in rented premises with 12 students. The school relocated to its current site in 2001. By the end of 2004, 2 dormitory blocks, 12 classrooms, a science block, computer laboratory, a library, and assembly and dining halls, among other essential infrastructure, have been added to the existing ones. But the school still lacks infrastructure, especially as a result of the increased intake due to the free SHS policy. 12 of the classrooms have been converted into dormitories, pushing academic activities under trees. The headmaster, Reverend Emmanuel Ajigodi, is of the view the only way to save the situation is for stakeholders, especially old students, to intervene. The Bueman Senior High School currently has a student population of 2,200, made up of 1,350 boys and 850 girls, 1,700 of which are boarders.
Coming up is the MTN video report, and today a concerned citizen reports on the RC Primary School where pupils learn under trees at Enchinyankoman in the Western region.
This is the current state of Nyankumam RC Primary, KG. Yes, the students are learning under tree because there are no classroom blocks for them to learn. Their teachers will have to sacrifice and then make sure that teaching and learning goes on, even though it is not the right thing to do, but they have no option than to teach these children. As I speak to you, the madam is making an announcement that these people are supposed to leave this place and move to the veranda in order to stop them from being beat by the rain. So they are moving. These children will have to convey their desk, their chairs from one place to the other because they don't have a permanent classroom block to learn. Please, brothers and sisters, benevolence, as you are listening and watching this video, our request and our plea is that you come to the aid of Nyankamam RC and let's see how best we can nurture these children to become better people in future.
Thank you very much for that report. You can also send your video reports by WhatsApp, the number 055143304. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. We have more news coming up shortly. To stay with us. Hello again, it's now time for business news. And the three-day Midday General Housing and Lifestyle Fair ended on Sunday with a call on households to be energy efficient. Exhibitors expressed satisfaction about the public turnout at the fair. Grace Hamwasari has more.
The Housing and Lifestyle Fair by Midday General and Planet One Media is a second edition held at the Aviation Social Center. It's brought together over 50 exhibitors from all parts of the country, providing an opportunity for the public to choose from a wide array of household items and products. Products on display included hardware, electricals, household items, energy efficiency equipment, among others. Some of the exhibitors could not hide their joy about the success of the event.
A lot of people have been coming in and have been showing interest also in the products. Also, so they've promised to call, okay, and then visit our showroom too.
People, a lot of consumers who've been here who expressed interest about what we're doing, and then we've also done our part, give them the advices they need, the tips they need, and then I think so far it's been an experience.
We've taken advantage of both the media and the radio to give exposure to our and visibility to our brand. So overall, I think the program has been very successful.
I think so far so good. I believe that we had a very good patronize. We have very good product here.
A representative from the GIZ and Energy Commission, Bernard Texing, reiterated the need for households to conserve energy.
This is basically on the basic things we can do in the households, like turning off the plug, not really doing the normal ones that people do at home. You switch TVs to some standby mode. This time we are preaching that just turn it off at the wall. We are telling them, think before you open the fridge, because as you open, air enters in, they need to be cooled. If you take things from the freezer, they need to defrost before you put them in the microwave. We are preaching LED. CFL is good, but now we have the new modern ones.
CEO of Planet One Multimedia, Nshira Kwame, promised of a bigger event in the coming season.
So we're looking for a better and a greater one next year. For the past 3 days, we are very surprised that the turnout was very great. Seriously, we were looking at for greater, turnout, yeah. But it's been very, very wonderful. The exhibitors are very, very happy. They are even saying we should even do this event twice in a year instead of once in a year. So, yeah, it's been very, very good.
The kids were not left out as there was a play area for them.
Okay.
In other business news, a summary of economic figures released by the Bank of Ghana show that between July and August 2018, the country added 11.4 billion cedis to its debt stock. But calculating this as a percentage of GDP, Ghana's debt represents 57.2%.
Ghana, within the period, accumulated an external debt component of 86.6 billion cedis, while the domestic debt component reached 84.2 billion cedis. Meanwhile, as at October this year, the country's total exports reached $12.54 billion. Of this, Gold generated the highest revenue of $4.7 billion. It was followed by oil, which raked in $3.83 billion in revenue, with cocoa placing third, with its export revenue reaching $1.67 billion. On the banking sector, the total non-performing loans increased marginally to 20.1% in October after dropping to 20% the preceding month. Again, the total deposits of all banks remained at 67.5 billion cedis in nominal terms, but increased by 20.9% on a year-on-year basis.
And News Just In indicates that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has maintained the policy rate at 17% after its 85th meeting. This is the third consecutive time that the central bank has maintained the policy rate. Speaking at a press conference, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Addison, explained that the decision to hold the figure at 17% is as a result of the performance of the cedi against the dollar, crude oil price volatility on the world markets and its effects on the local economy. Even though global growth is moderate, medium-term outlook for the domestic economy is shaky, according to the governor. On the number of banks who have met the minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis as the December deadline approaches, the governor revealed that 22 out of 30 banks have met the requirement so far. And the mobile money interoperability platform launched in May by the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, has so far recorded 1.3 million individual transactions worth a tax-free amount of 134 million cedis. The second phase, according to the Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, will be rolled out this coming week by the Vice President.
Phase 1 of the mobile money interoperability was limited for the mobile networks and Ghana Link. The second phase will complete the triangular platform, which will allow banks and other financial institutions participate in the interoperability.
Money subscribers and eSwitch card holders wishing to move money across these payment platforms can now do so seamlessly from their phones or any eSwitch device, such as the airport systems at the banks and agent locations. Similarly, the interconnection of mobile money and eSwitch platforms to the G8 Link platform means customers can conveniently move funds across all three platforms: bank accounts, mobile money wallets, and eSwitch as well.
Bank of Ghana, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, GIPS, the telcos and financial institutions are to ensure that mobile money platforms were interoperable to make banking services more accessible to the large unbanked population, estimated to be about 70%.
With a successful rollout of Phase 2, customers will be able to send and receive money directly from each other, irrespective of the payment platform that they are on. And this is a real big deal for a cash-light society that we desire to create. It will be a platform that will also enable free flow of funds between and among all three platforms, allowing the banked and the unbanked to interact at the same level.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had disclosed that the new interoperability system will cost the country less than $4 million after the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems took charge of the project.
Cost of second phase of interoperability, my understanding is that the entire interoperability project is what was costed and announced to us earlier. So this does not come at any extra cost beyond what was announced to us earlier in March 2017.
Interoperability is the ability for customers to undertake money transfers between two accounts of different mobile money companies, or to transfer money between mobile money accounts and bank accounts.
And that's it for the business segment. We have sports news coming up shortly with Yao Ofusulabi. Do stay with us. And the chances of winning the crown for the Central Regional representative in the ongoing Ghana's Most Beautiful Show was smashed as she was sent packing last night. Her eviction leaves 4 contestants, Wekia, Abna, Ohima and Afra, for the grand finale come December 9.
By tradition and modern standards,
with the theme relationships, the queens educated the audience on the qualities they will look out for in their ideal man for marriage. Being a relationship expert and counselor on a television show, Ohima, the Branga-Hafo representative, advised a confused viewer who was torn between 2 lovers on how to select the right person to settle down with.
you need to ask yourself, as a counselor, I keep telling my people that you need to be realistic and practical in your decision making. This is because if you fall out of fantasy world, you come to reality, and then reality sets in. How long can he be caring to you? Is it till he gets a new job?
Her performance won her the most eloquent award for the night. There was no star performer, as the judges saw all the performances to be average. When all was said and done, the dice was tossed for the final eviction.
Linda has the final say.
So we based our decision purely and solely on your votes. So Ashanti region is going to the finals.
Ashanti region is going to the finals.
But what informed the selection of the final 4 contestants?
Talent, poise, articulation, confidence. Those are the things we're looking for.
This person we're looking out for should have the height, should have the grace, should have command over English language, should understand the culture within which we live, and to be able to project the Ghanaian woman.
Tewa, the Western Regional representative, was axed out of the competition. However, she is keen on embarking on her project to help save preterm babies.
I'm going to target how to help preterm babies survive. I'm going to provide hospitals with incubators, and I'm also going to tackle the grassroots of it. I'm going to educate pregnant women on how best they can attend antenatal, because you see, preterm delivery sometimes is as a result of medical issues.
Despite the fact that his daughter was sent packing from the competition, Jase Hene of Adonting division of Ewutu Osai Krudua, Nai Opei Labi, wished all the final contestants the best of luck.
They should strive hard, because automatically all of them can take the crown. It is only one person. But if you are able to strive hard, you will be able to do it.
Well, congrats to all the finalists. And that's it for Midday Live. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Portia Gabo. Good afternoon.